Hello, my name is Yaki, and this is Magic Reforged. In this series, I'll be looking at some of my favorite pieces of media and reforging them into currently printed Magic cards. Today's topic is a personal favorite and one that has touched many over the decades. In the summer of 1985, Isao Takahata, Toshio Suzuki, Yasuyoshi Tokuma, and Hayao Miyazaki established Studio Ghibli. Since then, Studio Ghibli has created some of the most iconic animated films that would not only see massive cultural financial success in Japan, but have the same successes globally. One name, however, has become synonymous with this studio, Hayao Miyazaki. This project hits much closer to home, as these films have not only influenced me as a creative, but are also some of my most cherished moments in life. I have fond memories of watching these films with my siblings and grandparents for many years. Today, I wanted to give homage to these films in my own way by gathering over 20 cards inspired by his work. Similar to my last video, certain cards have had their creature types changed, but they are only stylistic changes and do not change gameplay whatsoever. Let us begin. It begins with a princess, a valley, and a call to action. Nausicaä and the Valley of the Wind is a bittersweet story of human violence, nature, and how humanity can coexist with the natural world. Representing the force of nature is this alteration to giant Adaphage. The Ohm are massive insectoid creatures that can bring destruction if misunderstood. This card's ability to clone itself is to represent the Ohm's vast and endless numbers, a constant reminder that nature cannot be controlled nor tamed. Representing humanity and nature's coming together is this alteration of Winota, Joiner of Forces. Nausicaä, Nature's Shepherd, aims to hit on the themes of bringing together the two opposing forces in the film. Giving her fellow humans indestructible through the non-human creatures represents the understanding Nausicaä comes to at the end of the film. It is working with nature and not against it that will lead both humans and non-humans to a better, brighter future. As the skies part, some may see a glimpse of a fantastic castle, a castle of myth and legend that calls those who are chosen to use its power for the betterment or the detriment of all living creatures. Laputa, Castle in the Sky, is a story of the nuance that exists within the relationship between nature and technology. Showcasing this theme is an alteration of Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. Laputa's last guardian is the robot that the children meet on their arrival to Laputa. Although it is not the last of its kind, it is representative of the nuance within the film. Finding a land represents the positive relationship the robots can have with nature, whilst its second, more explosive ability represents the militaristic force they can become. Laputa is not necessarily evil nor good, it simply exists as a way for humans to question the relationship between technology and nature. From airships and flying castles, we go to a more homely and grounded setting. In the rural countryside, a family just moved into an old, dilapidated home. Near the home, however, is a massive tree where a friendly nature spirit protects those around him. My Neighbor Totoro once again takes the themes of people's relationships with nature but sets them in a much more grounded and familiar setting. This film is near and dear to me, and as such I have decided to make several cards from this whimsical adventure. Exploring to her heart's content is this alteration to Elmar, Uvenwald Informant. May, Fearless Explorer, represents May's insatiable curiosity and childhood freedom. The haste in the card showcases May's excitable energy that sometimes gets her into trouble. Her second ability references her curiosity and inspires those around her to join her childhood antics. Even though she gets into trouble, she's lucky to have a sister who not only protects her but enjoys the adventures with her in this alteration to Othelm's guardian outcast. Satsuki, Dutiful Protector, represents Satsuki's responsibility as the older sister. With her mom in the hospital, Satsuki has taken upon herself to help her dad and May with whatever is needed, hence her ability to save creatures who had just entered the graveyard. Speaking of saving, Satsuki needed some help from a very strange vehicle to save May. Running into the next stop is this alteration to Getaway Car. Cat Bus is fast and always ready whenever it is called, hence the haste. Its ability references how it helped Satsuki save May, and now it will help to save your creatures by sending them back to the comfort of one's hand. Of course, the cat bus only responds to one call, the call of a friendly neighborhood spirit. Protecting the sisters and the forest that he lives in is this alteration of Kodama of the West Tree. Totoro, Forest Guardian, helps to grow any player's land base with a couple of magical seeds. He can also reach any flying creatures with his trusty spinning top and aid those who have shown him kindness in return. Always respect the spirits around you, as they might be more helpful than you may think. We return to the skies as a witch flies into a new town to find her purpose. Kiki's delivery service is a story of growing up, finding motivation, and being comfortable with who you are. Delivering your packages with wicked speeds is this alteration to Daleko's Crafter of Wonders. Kiki, Bewitching Messenger, showcases her primary skill as a witch, flight. To represent her new business of delivering packages is her connection to artifacts. However, she herself cannot fly unless she has a trusty broom. She also helps others with their dreams of flight like her friend Tombo. But a good witch needs her familiar in this alteration to Idris, Soul of the TARDIS. Gigi, Fleeting Familiar, represents Gigi's loyalty but inevitable departure from Kiki's life. The imprint ability references the moment when Gigi pretends to be the cat toy that Kiki accidentally loses on her first delivery. While Gigi does not permanently leave Kiki, their relationship is forever changed by the end of the film, representing Kiki's growth as an individual. Becoming who you want to be is difficult, but the rewards you will find are invaluable. Now we move on to a more violent time, a time where humans and angry gods clash against one another. Princess Mononoke revisits the themes of nature and humanity, but in a more violent manner. However, in between the violence and destruction, there is a beauty that comes from it. Riding swiftly between bloody battlefields, trying to become a bridge between humans and nature is this alteration to Driz to Orden. Ashitaka, Exiled Prince, is a skilled fighter who always grows stronger in the face of overwhelming adversity. He is accompanied by his trusty steed Yakul, and the double strike in the card represents his swiftness and overwhelming strength he gains after being cursed. Showcasing the ferocity of nature is this alteration to Tovolar, Dire Overlord, and Tovolar, Midnight Scourge. Sen, Daughter of Wolves, and Sen, Warrior of Wolves, references Sen's deep connection with her wolf kin. Her transformation symbolizes Sen's relationship between wanting to destroy the humans as well as trying to understand them from Ashitaka's perspective. Though in the end, she is a wolf and she cannot forgive the humans that have killed and destroyed her kin. Leading the final charge against the humans is one of the oldest spirits still living in this alteration to Kaima, the Fractured Calm. Okoto Nushi, Nature's Rage, stirs those around him to war. Both humans and beasts are riled up by this ancient spirit, which is represented by his goading mechanic. It is no surprise that Kaima, Fractured Calm, was clearly inspired by Princess Mononoke and Okoto, making it one of the many magic cards with references to other media. On the other side, showcasing the steadfast will of humans is this alteration to General Kudro of Draenith. Lady Eboshi, Lord of Iron, supports her fellow humans as she leads them through these tumultuous times. Exiling cards from a graveyard represents the way humans have slowly wiped out the ferocious nature spirits around them. Her second ability references the tenacity of humans, that although they are much weaker as individuals than the beasts they fight, together they can still take them down through overwhelming weapons and willpower. Finally, the beginning of the end comes into being with this alteration to Child of Alara. The Great Forest Spirit is a powerful being, but one that is still vulnerable to the violence inflicted on both sides of the conflict. When it dies, it spells the end of an era, the end of spirits and great beasts. The death of the Great Forest Spirit represents the theme that Miyazaki was aiming for when creating Princess Mononoke. Quote, "There cannot be a happy ending to the fight between the raging gods and humans. However, even in the middle of hatred and killings, there are things worth living for. A wonderful meeting or a beautiful thing can exist." Moving away from the chaos of war, we go to the land of spirits and my favorite Ghibli film. Spirited Away contends with memories, fear of the unknown, and facing your fears. Much like Totoro, this film was very precious to me and I have watched it countless times. It is difficult to summarize my feelings towards the film, so I hope the cards I picked may help to convey my endless love for this film. A nameless, fearful girl musters her courage to save her parents from a curse in this alteration to Lauren of the Third Path. Chihiro, Nameless Wanderer, represents Chihiro's journey as she helps many of the inhabitants of the spirit world and herself to get rid of the curses that plague them, hence the enchantment Destruction. Her ability to draw a card with an opponent represents the hard deals she must make in order to save her parents and those that she cares for like Haku. Helping her along her journey is the only one who remembers her true name with this alteration to Kairi, the swirling sky. Haku, river spirit, has abilities that occur when he dies. This is meant to symbolize that Haku is reborn when Chihiro remembers his true name, granting him his freedom from servitude to Yubaba. His ability to return permanence to their owner's hands references his help to return people to where they belong, like Chihiro. The other ability to interact with instants and sorceries, as well as his ward ability, refers to Haku's theft of Yubaba's and Zeniba's magical secrets. And just like Chihiro, he returns them in the end. These secrets are of course kept by the twin witches in this alteration to Valentine, Dean of the Vein, and Lizette, Dean of the Root. Yubaba, Hag of Decay, and Zeniba, Hag of Growth, represent the two sides of the same coin. Yubaba cares little about others and is more selfish in nature. She uses contracts to bind souls to her servitude and creates nasty curses like the one on Haku to keep them in line, hence the creation of pest tokens. On the other hand, Zeniba is supportive but stern. Much like Yubaba, she's not to be trifled with, but she sees the best in individuals. She helps her creatures by encouraging them and giving them advice to face their fears. Finally, the most iconic face of this film is ironically one with none in this alteration to Jolene, the Plunder Queen. No Face, false patron, is all about creating treasures, objects that will give him the affection of others. He encourages others to attack your opponents, referencing his willingness to give treasures to anyone who would praise him. However, he benefits the most as he eventually uses those treasures to gorge himself and become powerful, hence the final abilities on the card. He might be a misguided spirit, but in the end, even No Face has talents that are appreciated by some without the need for payment. Your name is important. Keep it safe, and remember, you never truly forget anyone you've met. It just takes some time. Keeping up with the magical and the fantastic is another favorite for many. Howl's Moving Castle is a story of heavy hearts, confidence in who you are, and finding love in an unlikely place. Running from his problems is this tricky alteration to Alrune, god of the cosmos, and Haka, whispering raven. Howl, heartless trickster, and Howl, heartless beast, is meant to represent Howl's constant conflict throughout the film. On his trickster side, Howl constantly tries to use his magic to predict and evade those that are chasing him, hence his connection to foretell cards. He digs into the deck to find specific cards as well, using his magic to find the right tool to run from those that are after him. His beast side represents Howl's role in the war, having to constantly fight and return to the safety of his castle. Scrying lets Howl prepare his next steps, but eventually the war may catch up to him, and he may never return to his original form. Howl always finds safety in his eclectic moving home in this alteration to Smuggler's Buggy. Howl's castle is always on the move, using secrets and spells in order to keep it safe from prying eyes. Even when one thinks they caught Howl, Howl and Calcifer use a spell to whisk the castle to safety, returning to one's hand. Of course, Howl could not move the castle without the help of his little fire demon in this alteration to Pippin, guard of the Citadel. Calcifer, Hearth and Home, showcases the demon's ability to protect Howl and those that live with him. He is always vigilant of danger and is difficult to find, hence the ward. He gives protection to creatures that live within his walls, warding off the spells of others in order to keep those around him safe. Finally, Howl would eventually meet someone special who would break his curse in this alteration to Rowan, Scholar of Sparks, and Will, Scholar of Frost. Sophie, young and bold, and Sophie, old and wise, represents the dichotomy within Sophie and how both her young and old ages bring about great change with her and those around her like Howl and Calcifer. Young Sophie is focused on quick, brash action. She deals damage to opponents and fires copies of spells which are in line with the ways young Sophie ends up solving a lot of the problems in the film. Old Sophie is about being methodical, taking her time, and realizing her wisdom and wit have grown with her old age. Old Sophie is about building up resources with card draw and slowing down the opponent. Both sides also discount instants and sorceries, symbolizing her help with the magical beings of this world. The reason she is a planeswalker represents the nature of her situation, a regular person that walks between both the magical and the real world. She even travels into Howl's past in order to save him. A heart's a heavy burden, but it makes life worth living. Now we move to the sea, where we find a boy and a fish. Ponyo is a story about responsibility, parenting, and letting a child be free to do what their hearts desire. It begins in the sea with a father and his worries about his child, and this alteration to Emperor Mihail II. Fujimoto, Father of the Sea, represents his abilities to commune with the sea and his intimate connection to the creatures that live within it. He has great control over them, hence his ability to both call them to his side and create more of them as he expands the world of the ocean. However, there is a rambunctious child who simply doesn't show him respect in this alteration to Kumena, Tyrant of Oraska. Ponyo, Tide of Chaos, represents her abilities to not only use the creatures of the sea to evade her capture by her father, but she also riles them up and turns them into gigantic waves of fish. She has immense power, yet she only wants to use it to be reunited with the boy who found her. Acting as Ponyo's guardian and the one who will show her endless love is this alteration to Kopala, Warden of the Waves. Sosuke, Warden of the Sea, shows his dedication to protecting not only Ponyo, but all creatures of the sea. Letting children do what they want is a scary thing, but know that their hearts can have the greatest room for those around them. The final stop on this journey leads us to Miyazaki's most recent work. The Boy and the Heron, or its more accurate title, How Do You Live, is Miyazaki's most personal story. The film's protagonist Mahito is meant to be a representation of a young Miyazaki. He struggles through a life of war, loss, and mass destruction, and through it all, he must find the way he wishes to live his life. As such, deciding his way of life is this alteration to Tom Bombadil. Mahito, Living Heritage, is meant to symbolize both Miyazaki's and Mahito's journey. Mahito meets many different individuals who tell him their life stories, each one meant to give the young boy perspective on how he should find his way to live his life. Mahito is given a choice in the end. A life in the real world of chaos and grief, or in a fantasy world he has complete control over that could bring peace and happiness. He chooses the real world just as Miyazaki did. For all its faults, pain, and endless suffering, there is something there that is worth living for. I set out to make this video for the holidays, as it is always the time where I get to see my family. The Miyazaki films have a special place in my heart, and it has created precious memories of my family. I like to especially dedicate this video to my sister, who I love with all my heart. These films are important to her and myself, and that bond is something I will always cherish. I love you more than you ever know, sis. And thank you so much, Miyazaki-san. Your films have changed not only animation as a whole, but countless people's lives. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I would like to give a special thanks to those who heavily supported my last video, especially on my Ko-fi page. I'll be giving them a special shout out at the end of the video. Once again, all cards seen on this video will be free to download in this link in the description. This video was near and dear to my heart, and it's something that has been difficult to make. I care very deeply for Miyazaki's films, and I hope my passion and message gets to those who watched it all the way through. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the new year. Bye bye! So this is my very first special shout out, so I'm very sorry if it sounds really rambly and very weird or very off script. I'm not very good at these, so here we go. So first up we got Egi. Thank you so much, Egi. Sorry if I messed up your name. Ruben. Thank you so much, Ruben. Artful Reggie. Thank you so much, Reggie. Love your art, by the way. Tyler, thank you so much, Tyler. At H47, thank you so much. Ian K, thank you very much. You were very, very recent, just before this video releases, so thank you so much. Oliver, thank you so much, Oliver. And of course, just wanted to give a really big, huge, Mondo big abrazo. Super thankful shout out to Diego F. Luis Diaz. You are amazing. Thank you. I just can't. I'm speechless. Your support was is incredible, and yeah, this is what I'm just. Thank you so much. And I just want to give, once again, a huge shout out to all the people who donated on the Ko-fi page. Again, all of these cards I make are for free, and I just wanted to thank everyone for your generous donations. I do this for fun, but also so that you guys can have beautiful art pieces of some of your favorite media pieces and art pieces available for you guys to play in your next Magic the Gathering game. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.